Hello, welcome back to the Campfire, where we unveil the shamanic odyssey. My name is Michaela. I am a shaman who is here to teach and to share the knowledge that I have learned in my years, in my experience, the messages from my ancestors, and the guidance that I received from Mama Ayahuasca. In today's episode, we'll be discussing people as mirrors and how important it is to understand yourself in order to understand someone else, and the idea of introspection as a result. Every single person in their own right, in their own mind, is dealing with an intense internal battle, whatever it may be. Their internal battle to them is extremely difficult. You cannot compare any person's trauma in that way. What someone is going through internally, firstly, has nothing to do with anyone else, and secondly, is very difficult to share. As a result, that internal turmoil, that internal battle that someone may be feeling, can oftentimes be reflected in the people around them. What I mean is, if you were to see someone as a mirror, as a direct reflection of the triggers that you have within yourself. You look at someone, specifically partners or parents or siblings. They tend to be the largest triggers, the deepest mirrors, because they've been with you the longest, they know you the most. But if we see people as mirrors, we see them as a reflection of the things inside ourselves that we are not yet healed from. Naturally, when we will interact with someone, how they respond and how they interact with us will bring up triggers that we might not have dealt with yet, or might not have been aware of even yet. For example, going out with a friend and all of a sudden the friend mentions that their dad is absent in their lives and starts saying bad things about their parent, or going on about something that all of a sudden triggers you, and you react because of what they are saying and how it's affecting you, where in actual fact you're reacting because of something internal that has now been brought to your attention, a trigger within you that has been asked to be seen. Now, it's very complicated, and it is quite tricky to take a moment and not react when someone's reflection of you is not what you like. But the whole idea of healing and the whole idea of growth is to sit with these triggers, to sit with everything as it comes up, and to give it the space to heal, give it the space to be felt. Triggers are a beautiful, gentle way of reminding you what it is you need to heal from, and giving you the tools to focus on that healing, to dive deeper into that path, open that door and learn where that trigger's coming from. So when you interact with someone and you start seeing them as mirrors, they start reflecting parts of yourself that you are grateful for, that you are still working with, that you are still learning from. But overall, they are only a mirror to you. They are simply a reflection of who you are becoming. And by seeing people in this way, you dive deeper into your own self-development. Yes, of course, there are deep, beautiful connections to be made with different individuals, but this is a very foundation level conversation with that in mind. The idea of building connections with people and the idea of having that one-on-one eye contact connection with someone is solely based on the present moment and the connection that both are experiencing in that moment. The honesty, the eye contact, the body language, the touching, the actual I am here and you are here, and let's be grateful for that moment. That when you are in a deep state of inner turmoil, when you have got those battles going within and you are struggling to find balance, naturally the people that you are around will bring out a lot of your triggers. Now, with those triggers and seeing people as mirrors, there comes a new layer: projection. Projection is what happens when people haven't dealt with their own personal triggers and blame you. They blame the mirror, they blame their reflection, and you end up holding their energy. You hold their trauma, their projection of whatever they may be feeling. It now becomes yours. Why? 2 reasons. The first reason is simply because you are in that state of conversation, and naturally as human beings we do have a tendency to be quite vulnerable and insecure in front of others, especially if they are closer to us, and we tend to be quite empathetic in our conversations with people, that when someone does get triggered and they do project something, then you immediately go back and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I offended you, or I'm so sorry, and that I'm so sorry immediately absorbs their energy, it absorbs their emotion, so they feel better because they've given it away and given it to you, who now has to carry the heaviness of their unhealed wound. What happens with this, and if we don't work through it correctly, is after time you start feeling emotions that actually don't belong to you. You start reacting to things that actually aren't yours to react to, and you struggle to heal from your own journey because you're stuck holding on to other people's energy. And a big part of what I want to teach in this specific episode is how to return that energy back to the projector, back to the person who needs to heal from it. And it's been quite an interesting journey, because when you become conscious of this path, and when you become conscious of the projections, when you become conscious of people's triggers and them having to work through it, it becomes quite an interesting game. Mostly, of course, because you never want to offend anyone, but you can only meet someone where they've met themselves. It's not your responsibility to help heal them if they're not ready to heal from their truth. You can merely plant a seed, and by planting that seed, you're opening a door to so much more within themselves if they are willing to water it. Going back to returning the energy to the projector, it's something actually that came up for me a few years ago. I was sitting with my mum and we were watching a series the one night, and she got extremely upset about something and extremely triggered and lost her temper at me. And I turned to her very gently and I said, Mum, you need to sort out your triggers and work through them because they're ruining our relationship. And it changed it was a very difficult thing to say, I must say. You can imagine saying things like that to your parent, I must say has been quite a battle. But it's about that courage, it's about that surrender, it's about patience. So with the courage and the trust that you have for yourself and the love that the other person feels for you, you have the capacity to create that safe space of healing, of vulnerable growth. And my mum ended up going on this incredible journey, but all it was planting the seed that this is your trigger, this is your energy, this is for you to heal from. I am merely here holding space for you to make you aware of what you need to deal with within yourself. And the same goes for you. It's a two-way street. No one is perfect in this regard. You might find that someone does something and all of a sudden you're triggered and reminded of a past memory that you thought was buried, and all of a sudden you're feeling extremely emotional or upset or angry, and you don't know where that energy is coming from, and you also react impulsively. You also give that energy out. It's natural, it's normal. We're human beings. We are here to learn and we are here to grow, but it's what you do with that information after the trigger comes up that will help you in your path. To sit with yourself, to take a moment, take a breath, feel where that trigger is coming from. Is it coming from your head space? Is it coming from your heart space? And slowly address it. It doesn't have to be immediately. It can be later on in the day. I always recommend journaling as a great way to release and a great way to unlock your subconscious, because as I've said in previous episode, what you do not feel and acknowledge through your subconscious will come up in your dreams, and that dream world becomes quite a difficult terrain if there's a lot of triggers that are holding space in there. So when a trigger does come up, address it, feel it. Where your fear is, there is your task, there is your growth. So feel that emotion, feel that energy, feel where it's coming from in yourself, and gently address it without the impulse, without the reaction, because the other person has no idea what's going on in your head and in your heart space. No idea. What they said could have been something so small, like, oh, I hate the taste of this coffee. And that could have sent you on a spiral of, your grandmother telling you how ungrateful you are because there's starving children in the world, and how you must drink everything or eat everything that's put in front of you. And this journey goes on in your head, and you come back and you kind of just don't really know what just happened. And you project. But now, instead of projecting, you're pulling that energy back, you're going inward, and you're feeling your emotion. You understand that everyone is on their own journey, that there is a deep sense of compassion and a deep sense of understanding for that growth, for that connection with the other to form. But when it comes to, for example, the workspace, or meeting new people, or being in larger environments, those are where the big mirrors test you, where the big triggers come out. But it's important during this time to see your trigger not as a weakness, but as a lesson, to give it gratitude, to see it as a strength. When you feel a trigger come up, feel the gratitude, feel the love from yourself for that lesson that is about to be learned, for the deeper understanding that you will get from this lesson. And slowly journey through this life. There are going to be so many triggers, there are going to be so many lessons. You can't expect ever to be on a linear path of healing. This path is wavy, it is backwards. We can do extreme amount of healing, deep layer shedding, and all of a sudden be this vulnerable, thin-skinned animal who needs love, who needs protection, who needs guidance. So be gentle with yourself as these triggers start coming up, but notice when they do. Give yourself the space and time to feel them, because once a trigger does come up and isn't dealt with, it just becomes a deeper trigger. Going back as well to who your biggest mirrors are, your partner is a very big mirror, because especially if you are living with them, if you are in the space with them consistently, you are completely reminded of the goals you have set for yourself, the goals that you have verbalized, the way that you have expressed yourself, that when you feel that you have not met your own goal, or you have not done your best in a specific situation, the mirror of your partner supporting you becomes a trigger. That becomes a trigger in your own disappointment for yourself, for not reaching that goal, for not pursuing what you said you needed to do in that time. So there's a deeper sense of understanding that comes from these people as mirrors, seeing people as your reflections, that if you are constantly in the present moment, if you are here listening, growing, feeling, acknowledging, then everything that is meant for you will arrive. It'll arrive in messages through the insects, through the animals, but a lot of the time through the people you surround yourself with. In the present moment, you will learn about your triggers, you will be able to work through them, you will be able to take your time, you will be able to understand when someone is projecting their triggers onto you, and you will be able to return it back to them. The returning back doesn't necessarily happen immediately, but a tool and a practice that I use, which is something I would highly recommend, is at the end of your day, when you are about to head to bed, whatever your night routine is, take a moment to visualize yourself as a beacon of light, as your own entity of being. Then take a moment to simply say, I return all the energy that doesn't belong to me back to where it came from, and I release all the energy that is not here for my greater good. It is not yours to carry. You do not need to hold on to it for others. I also have a meditation to go deeper into that you can listen to. It's a beautiful practice to follow at nighttime before your bed, even if you feel that you're extremely overwhelmed in the workplace, if you feel that you're carrying a lot of other people's stresses. That sometimes happens a lot, and you feel extremely overwhelmed, but it's simply because other people are projecting their stress onto you. It has nothing to do with you. Live only in your energy. Everyone else has their own energy to deal with and control. You just need to keep yours safe, and you need to look after yourself. It is a role that each person is responsible for, to look after themselves in order to be kind to others. So be gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself, and welcome in the triggers as they come up. Journal, think about it, acknowledge them, and live in the space of love for yourself and for the people around you, for sharing their reflection with you as well. A big part of seeing people as mirrors is that you can also understand their perspective. You can understand why they are getting triggered by something you have done, because you can see yourself as a mirror to them. So you can shift the perspective. You can see it from both sides. It helps a lot, again, especially with partners and siblings and family members, because you know them. You understand that if you say something and it triggers them, you kind of know where it's from. So you can help them deepen their understanding of their own trigger and their own self-growth. But first, practice with yourself. You first need to learn the lesson before you can teach it. So practice, journal, share with me if you have any triggers that have come up. If you need any help, please reach out to me. My door is always open. I have a shamanic healing practice that deals with things like this in much deeper detail that I open to you. Please reach out, and I will be there to help you always. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening to this episode on people as mirrors and projection. If you did like this video, please share it, please subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.